this conversation?
I got it from the CPE sent it to me. Jamie sent it to me. I don't know.
You must
Okay.
have been on my list from. I gathered a list from Sean. No, not from Shauna. From KCTCS system.
Oh,
That's
oh.
me,
helped
but I don't
me.
know where the name. I don't know where it would have come from.
That's so interesting. Okay, well, I'll do an opening intro and we'll make sure the folks are in the right place. It was Sue.
Sue helped me, yes. Sue Patrick
Sue
helped me gather a
Patrick.
list.
All right, we'll get to the bottom of it all.
And Sue's out of
Fear
the
not.
office today, just so you all know.
Okay.
So we might not get to figure it out today, Chris, but we will.
Okay.
Apologies, Chris.
Oh, it's no worries. I feel so
It's
welcome,
Jamie's
though.
power.
I get on and it's like, what are you doing here?
No, it just, I know y'all are busy people, and I also appreciate so much your engagement in so many things that the collaborative does. I just want to make sure you're always in the right room when you show up because you're just so valued. Okay.
It's
well,
Jamie's power. She just sends us meeting requests and we just go.
Well, we love you guys. Thank you for being here. Okay, well, why don't we go ahead and get started? My name is Lily Massa-McKinley, and I'm the Executive Director of the Kentucky Student Success Collaborative, which is an initiative of the Council on Post-Secondary Education. And many of you we know and love and have worked with for quite some time, and many of you are brand new faces. So would love to just maybe go around, and if you don't mind, introduce ourselves, just share name, role, and institution. So you may have been forwarded this invitation, or somebody on your campus shared this invitation with you because we're kind of getting into a new space of work where student basic needs, which is one of our priority areas, meets communications, which is one of the critical success factors of our strategy. And so we were hoping to combine those two things and bring together an important point of contact on each of our college campuses who works with communications to support our student basic needs efforts. So that's why we have some brand new faces with us today, but also some folks that have been doing the work on campus alongside us this whole time. And we are, of course, going to be recording this conversation. So if this is not your role, you are welcome to, we'll just share this information with other folks on your campuses to make sure that as we move forward, everybody feels, in the know and all the good things. Okay, so let's go ahead. I will pass it to Jamie Oleka to kick off intros.
Everyone, I'm Jamie Oleka, and I'm a senior fellow with the Kentucky Student Success Collaborative. Thanks for accepting my invitation to join this meeting. Let's start off with Laura. If you could introduce yourself, just say name and your role.
An institution.
Hi, I'm Laura
Yes,
Vance
institution.
at Eastern Kentucky University. I'm the Dean of Students.
Thanks, Laura. And you can kick it off to someone else. We'll keep the train rolling.
Well, since we're picking on Christopher, I'll pass it off to him.
Chris Jensen. I'm the Assistant Vice President for Student Success at Western Kentucky University. Let's see. Whoever. Erica?
Hi, my name is Erica Marie. I'm the Director of Digital Marketing at the Kentucky Community and Technical College System. So that is how you pronounce my last name, in case anybody's interested. I'm going to call on Peggy.
Hi, I'm Peggy Whaley. I'm from Murray State University. I'm the director for the Center for Student Engagement and Success, so our focus is on student retention. And I will kick it off to Jennifer Stevens.
Hi, I'm Jennifer, and I work at Northern Kentucky University, and I'm a coordinator in University Connect and Persist, and I'm actually here today for the director of this program, Peg Adams. And I will kick this off to Mary Ann.
Hello, everybody. My name is Mary Ann Young. I'm the Assistant Vice President for Financial Wellness at the University of Kentucky. Just started in this role and working with this area for about a month and a half. So very new to all of this. So appreciate being able to be with these experts. And I'm going to kick that over to, let's see, Sarah Stevens.
Hey, I'm Sarah Stevens with Bellarmine University. I'm the Student Care Coordinator, and I'm here on behalf of Dr. Leslie Maxey, the Dean of Students. And I'll kick it off to April.
Hi, I'm April Hobbs-Nutter. I'm the Director of Strategic Communications at Morehead State University.
Ariane, you want to jump in?
Sure. So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ariane Jet Seals, and I am the Senior Fellow for Basic Needs here with the Kentucky Student Success Collaborative. And let's see, Demetria, have you introduced yourself? I don't think I heard you yet.
Not yet. Hi, my name is Demetria. I go by Kayla, and I'm the interim PR coordinator at Kentucky State University. I was invited here by Dr. Wicker, the VP of Academic Affairs.
Thank you, Kayla.
All right, Nathan and Katie.
Hey, oh, go ahead, Katie. Sorry.
Are you sure? It's always the race. All right, I'm Katie Adamczyk, Executive Director of Student Success at the University of Louisville and the Student Success Center. Nathan.
Hi, everyone. Nathan Whitlock, Assistant Director of Civic and Community Engagement at Center College.
Fantastic. What an awesome group. Okay, so I'm going to do a quick overview of our basic needs work that we have done to date, because some of you are, Marianne, so nice to meet you, brand new to this student basic needs strategy that we're working on as a state and partnership. And then also we have some great comms folks here as we get a little bit deeper into the actual strategy of it and our next steps related to communications. And then we're going to brainstorm how we want to approach it all, because we just have some really high level kind of milestones or things that we said we wanted to do, but there's a lot of ways that we could move forward with that. And we have some grant funding that can support us in that work. So thinking about the best approach for how we want to go ahead and do that is really what we wanted to call this meeting to get started in the conversations. Now, I don't have the benefit of multiple screens today, so it's always scary to me when I have to do a presentation and fly a little blind. So if you have a question and you want to just start talking, okay, and just interrupt me and I will stop myself and then we will talk together. So let's see here. I will share screen. I know this is not, okay, you can see my PowerPoint, right? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay. All right. So we began our basic needs journey really when the collaborative first started. It was the very first issue that rose to the top when we were having our campus visits. And we really realized that over half of college students are struggling with their basic needs in some capacity. And it is a major factor in their decision making around, can I continue my education or do I need to take a break? Which often leads to not actually coming back and finishing. And so we decided to kind of dig a little bit deeper. And when we did some research, we really found that based on national studies that were being done by the Hope Center, that nearly 3 in 5 college students are experiencing this basic needs insecurity related to food, housing, other living essentials, transportation barriers, technology, childcare, all sorts of these kind of non-academic aspects of being able to focus and participate in your education. We also know from the research that basic needs insecurity is more likely to impact students of color, and it's also a significant contributor to mental health issues and mental health concerns. And so as we have begun our mental health strategy work, this was also shown in our own Kentucky data with the Healthy Mind study. And students really focused on the financial wellness, financial security, and belonging as significant factors impacting their mental health and mental wellness. So what we do know is that when students are faced with a basic needs insecurity, they're more likely to drop a class, they're higher likelihood to fail a class, and when they do pause their education for non-academic reasons or for financial reasons, only 20% will eventually graduate. So those are significant statistics that really lead us to the absolute urgency to focus on what can we do, not only just on our own campuses, but hopefully leveraging our collective knowledge and resources to better support the student basic needs of students. You know, we're here educating students in Kentucky, where 60% receive, 50% overall of our students in Kentucky are receiving a Pell Grant, or at least have historically received a Pell Grant. And so we know that we are already working with a very financially vulnerable population. And we want to improve their completion and success rates so that they are even more likely to no longer, struggle with financial insecurity. Because the good news is that when you do, of course, complete your post-secondary degree or credential, you're more likely to move out of poverty. And we're very excited that we have a statistic that for the KCTCS students that were receiving SNAP, when they completed their degree or credential, 80% moved out of or above that 200% of the federal poverty level and were no longer needing to receive federal benefit programs. So we do know that and that was just like within 1 year of graduating. And of course, the upward trajectory of your income with more experience and education is a positive increase as well. So all of this research, is really critical to understanding Kentucky's overall goal, educational attainment goal, that 60% of our population will hold a post-secondary degree or credential by 2030. And as a part of our basic needs strategy, we've really focused on two major elements. One is to increase access to basic needs supports for college students. And the second is to increase access to post-secondary education for individuals receiving state supports. And so, as a result of all of this kind of real foundational data, a group of Kentucky stakeholders formed the Kentucky Student Basic Needs Action Network. And we came together and we did several discovery projects that really helped set the stage in understanding our current state picture of student basic needs in Kentucky, that then led to a better understanding of our of what our recommendations to improve access to basic needs supports for college students and increase access to post-secondary education for post-secondary education needed to be. So just a little bit of context, and really the most important aspect of this wheel here that I think is that I really wanted to focus on is related to the Campus Voice Research Project. We worked with 3 faculty members, one from EKU, one from UK, and one from U of L. And together they did 2 different things. One, they did a website audit. They looked at the websites of every single college and university in Kentucky. And they were searching for, I think, like 10 different student basic needs services. They were looking for food security support, housing security support, transportation support, childcare support, mental health resources, emergency aid, and a list of others. There's a whole Excel document of kind of the tracking of what they found through this kind of website audit. And basically, some of the biggest findings that came out of that research were just that, there's a lot of resources that are out there, but it is not all very intuitive in how to find it. We're not all using very intuitive words for students to search. It's not all centrally located into kind of an easy to find landing page. And some of the information is out to date, or helpful information is not included. Sometimes we overinflate the types of services that are available, and sometimes we under-report the types of services that are available. So there were examples where we talked about a food pantry, but didn't mention that we also had upgraded and were offering, other kind of personal hygiene products and a clothes closet and other things that were now available in addition to just a food pantry. And other times there was reference to childcare services, but actually the wait list was so long that it really wasn't a very feasible service to be that it really wasn't a service that was available to students. And so it was just one of those things that we just thought, wow, there's a lot of room for improvement, but we also know that there's not a ton of capacity for constantly making sure that this resource is up to date. And so it just looked like a great opportunity for improvement if we wanted to really increase access and awareness around basic needs supports for students. Another aspect of the project that was really wonderful was the focus groups direct with students. And I believe that the researchers conducted maybe 18 different focus groups on 9 different college campuses, and they included about 50 different students. And the 2 main takeaways that I have from these focus group research was, one, that students really only reach out when they are in crisis. So there's not a ton of advanced warning that, like, oh, I'm going to lose my housing in about a month, so it would be great if I started making plans to find alternative housing. Like, it's like, I've lost my housing, or I'm going to be, losing my housing in a day, so there's not a lot of advance notice. It's very emergency situation. And the second thing that was really, really illuminating that came out of the student focus groups was that when they do find themselves in an emergency, they go to someone that they trust on campus. So they are not necessarily going to the Student Basic Needs Support Center or the care team. They're going to their English faculty member, or they're going to their RA, they're going to the person on campus that they know. And so that person is going to have maybe different levels of knowledge that around all of the resources that are available. And so it just became like this, wow, like this is a really important these are really important resources, and this is certainly one of those. Like, the student could stay if we can get the help that they need, or they may have to depart or take a pause if they're not able to get this problem fixed. And I'm sure that those of you that are working in this area and are on the front lines and see students in crisis all the time, like, exactly what that is like and how hard that is to actually leverage those immediately needed resources, like at the drop of a hat. And you're the experts. And so imagine being kind of a person that's not necessarily doesn't feel like an expert and having students in crisis coming to you. So we thought that these were 2 really important areas where, working together, we could do something that would really help all of our campuses benefit and improve access to basic needs supports for our students. So we did put together 8 different recommendations, and they are implementing a screening tool that would help us early identify students that may have basic needs insecurity. We're reviewing our public benefit plans in order to hopefully increase flexibility for our post-secondary students. Increasing capacity of our colleges and universities, primarily through partnership with the Cabinet for Health and Family Services to place full-time connectors, which are benefit navigators on our community college campuses in the first round, and hopefully expanding to our university campuses in a second round. And then also looking at training and ongoing professional development opportunities for staff and faculty. We have started that work as well around trauma-informed training that we've already done 2 6-hour training courses with, and reached about 220 staff and faculty in Kentucky. So this kind of area of work is definitely already underway. We've also, related to the second objective around increasing access to post-secondary education, a focus on childcare solutions was one of the major recommendations that emerged from this work. Exploring models and incentives for more referrals from our DCBS and workforce agencies into post-secondary programs. Looking at training for these community-based programs to raise awareness around how to access post-secondary programs. And then creating clearer pathways, career pathways that are aligned to our labor market opportunities. So those are some of the major recommendations. And then we were thinking, you know what, but that's not all, because those are very kind of focused programmatic elements, but there's also some just critical success factors that kind of underlie this whole project in general for scale, impact, and sustainability. And so those critical success factors are aligned, are mapped out here: institutional commitment, infrastructure, which certainly includes capacity, asset mapping to get a really good understanding of the resources, the programs across the state. There's just pockets and pockets of programs and funding sources, and just figuring out how do we, web resources, but how do we really maximize all of these things that already exist to support our students, and communications. And so this one, and then a data system is the fifth one, but but focusing in on the communication plan that we discussed in our strategy group. Create a communications plan and messaging campaign to advance the common objectives, including communications expectations, timelines, protocols, and digital assets for our partners. So really there was just kind of boiling down some of the details in there. We know that communications is a critical success factor to being able to move forward with any of the student basic needs work at a state level. So the next thing that happened was we took this strategy that the group worked for a full year to develop, and we wrote a grant to the ECMC Foundation, which is based in California. And we were very fortunate, and we received this grant. We received a $1.5 million grant over 3 years, and there were 4 areas of focus that are all kind of addressing various areas of this strategy. One is this communications project that we're here to discuss today. And the focus of that communications project is to raise awareness and reduce stigma around accessing basic needs services. Another area of focus is childcare solutions, and we have some funding to do research, direct kind of student voice research with parenting students, and also we have implementation grants for campus and community partners. Once we really understand from the student perspective what types of childcare solutions would be most valuable to them. We are also going to be working with KYSSC as well as some research partners on developing out a statewide student basic needs data dashboard with leading indicators of student wellness and student basic needs security. And then also doing some real research and deep dive data analysis into our data to better understand kind of the factors that are leading to, we think, basic needs security and ultimately economic mobility. And then finally, we talked about that infrastructure piece, and we were able to receive funding for a full-time staff member, and Arion is the result of that. And so now we have some support that is actually able to drive this overarching strategy over the next several years. So now, if anybody does have any questions at this time, feel free. My next section is just to dive into the communications piece of this. Okay, so that's the overview of how we've gotten to this particular meeting. Okay, so the communications project. And I will say that like most funders recognize that when you write a grant, you write it for where you are in that moment in time, and things do evolve. And so this is what we wrote. This is what we said we really thought would be most beneficial to us when we wrote this grant. And I think it is still like very true. It's based on our research. It's based on our original project that was very much based in student voice. So what we thought would be very beneficial was to create a student testimonial campaign related to the impact of basic needs supports for students. Now, student testimonials are often beneficial for reducing stigma in accessing services. We met with a consulting organization just to kind of brainstorm our research and a possible communications project. We're not planning to work with this communications firm, but they definitely talked about the value of student testimonials as a really powerful strategy in reducing stigma around whatever it is that you're talking about. We also, as kind of referenced through the website audit, I guess, that we did, our faculty members did of all of the university and college websites, that we thought it might be helpful to develop a template for some kind of one-stop student basic needs webpage. Like, here are the various elements of basic needs resources, and what would be, we're going to go through an ecosystem mapping process that will help campuses map both their own campus resources as well as their community-based resources, as well as the common and standardized statewide resources that everybody has access to. And then we can probably, like, people could customize to whatever extent they want to, but at least we have kind of a starting point that's helpful for everyone. We also thought it would be very valuable to develop a training for trusted sources. So if you are that, I'm just saying English faculty member, like it could literally be the cafeteria, the person that checks out people in the cafeteria. You know, I remember Ariane telling a story of, you know, one of the cleaning staff would come and refer students to her office because she would find them sleeping in some of the classrooms, you know, when she was on her way through, you know, cleaning rooms in the night. So, I mean, it's literally everyone on our campuses, you know, can be a trusted source or can be a resource for our students. But what would this trusted sources training include? And how could it also then be used to point back to maybe this one-stop webpage where we can not just have this webpage that helps students access all the things in one place in an easy to find way, but also it's great for our trusted sources to be able to see what's out there and how they might be able to help students. And then finally, the last part of the grant was thinking about a state level communications toolkit. You know, what are some helpful guidelines or philosophy or grassroots kind of communications plan? What are the tools that might be most helpful for our campus partners as you're going out and using the testimonial campaign or a template for a web page or a trusted sources training, et cetera. So that is where we started with this communications project. And we put $255,000 into our budget for this, which includes all the things. So collateral, consultants, if we were to use any, subgrants to campuses. So whatever, this is our budget for executing on these projects and hopefully working with primarily our campus partners to achieve this goal. Okay, so that is the overview. And now I was just hoping that we could have a conversation and think about, well, one, reactions, and is this kind of a right direction to go related to communications? Like, would this add value? And does this line up with some of the communications needs that you would see on your own campuses related to student basic needs and increasing access to those services for your students? What additional questions might you have or ideas might you have? Yeah, all the things. So this is just open discussion now.
Lily, we started a student wellness website, which is basically what you were kind of proposing. And we launched it in a rough form last August as we've moved into WordPress and now it's up and running. One of the struggles that we have is vetting community and state resources to make sure that I'll just be transparent here. Make sure I'm not referring a transgender student to a food pantry at a church that might not be welcoming. So the vetting process has taken us a lot. That's one of the things. We have community resources on there. We have information about connectors. We don't have one on campus yet, but connectors at Kentucky River Foothills and some other areas. But I think that's been one of our big challenges. Are those, like, what kind of community support is out there as well? But we did at least get our campus resources grouped into different types of basic needs. And then I'm working on, our faculty have asked for training on that. So I'm working on that with the associate provost to provide to faculty through some seminars in the fall, but that's very early stages too. So this group sharing ideas can sure make things a lot easier for me and all of us.
Thanks, Laura. Any comms people have thoughts?
I guess my initial thoughts are, I'm not too sure how familiar everybody is with Kentucky State University and the needs of students here. And I know that we've set up a plan to do student testimonials. We've targeted, our top five traditional students, adult learners, online learners, our international students, and our graduate students. But when it comes to like student basic needs, to be transparent and kind of honest, Kentucky State University kind of falls short of that because of the things that we've experienced over the years. And housing and food are probably at the top of the list for our students. We do have a student wellness center that was developed, renovated, and, it was available to students all during last semester and the previous semester. But as far as resources go within the community and within the university, resources are limited here. And I think this would be a benefit for us, but it would, I just see Kentucky State University needing like an aggressive push for student basic needs to be met.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Kayla.
From a communication standpoint, I work at the system office of KCTCS, and each of the 16 colleges offer different types of ways to meet those student basic needs. So trying to find, and I mean, it would be just very similar for all of the institutions in the state to try and come up with all of this information and have it housed in one place. But and how often all of those resources change is also a complication that I just foresee. Because I did work at one of the 16 colleges previously too. So even just trying to maintain a lot of the outside partners that would help with the students, the different, even just going from the different items that are available inside of the food pantry that Gateway Community and Technical College had. So just trying to keep informed and have the most accurate information.
So I wonder, so the idea of the template is what is common across the state that's a common resource that could be maintained at a state level, and what is a custom resource that's like custom to your campus or specific to your region, your local community. Those are all things that, yeah, we would definitely want to figure out how do we maximize this time and energy so that everybody doesn't have to go looking for the state resources that, hello, like we should do that one time. And then if there's a link to something that is already going to be maintained by the proper entity that maintains that thing, then hopefully that's updated. But I imagine that y'all are already struggling to keep your websites up to date and with as many resources as possible. And so we're already doing this 49 times, which is how many institutions we have in Kentucky. And so if we can try to simplify that or make that a little bit easier for folks, that would be the goal. But certainly there's always going to be that maintenance and update aspect of any kind of website piece.
I like the idea of having a template for the website. We just published our student basic needs website, very, very general, just has a number of key resources on there. But to know what's available from the state level, I think is an important piece that I don't know that we have. We have more community and Murray State resources. So I think that would be helpful. And then we could take what we can and put it in there. The student testimonials, I think, are very, very important, but it was so hard just to get students to come and do those focus groups when we did that last spring, I think it was. And so, will students provide a testimonial on something that is so very personal and private to them? And that's, I think we struggle with that here at Murray State, is to get students to share their story and so I know it would be impactful, but I don't know how we do it in such a way that it protects them and they feel
Right.
okay about that.
Do you guys think that do you think students would be willing to do it if like I assumed that there would be a picture with this quote or whatever the testimony, or if it's a video or whatever, that even seems a little bit more out there if it's a video, but that if it was, let's say it's a Murray State student, but it shows up at the EKU campus, or the EKU student shows up at the U of L campus, and you're not wearing your gear or anything, you're just a student. Is that a safer space for students, or do you think that still they're just vulnerable and they're talking about their struggles with finding childcare or whatever the issue may be that they're talking about? I don't know if there's a way that you could try to create some safety for them, or if it's just, this is going to be hard, so you have to, like, the students have to know and just be okay or not.
I rarely have a problem getting a student to offer, like, this is the help I've received. I've used Colonel's Cupboard. I've used this. I get SNAP benefits. Part of me though wondered, I think one of the more effective tools that we've used is having students face to face when they come in and talk about Colonel's Cupboard in different classes to explain how to use it, and they say, I've used it. And that face to face, I don't know that but this isn't based on research, this is just anecdotal. I'm a random college student that you don't know, I've used the emergency fund, I went through the process of getting SNAP benefits, I've done this. I mean, I think that does start to normalize it, which I think is one of the things you're looking for. But training student employees to be and how to be more vulnerable and talk about these resources, we've found to be quite effective. I have a whole group now that they're applying for SNAP benefits together because one of them started going through the process, and so they're helping each other out. That seems to be pretty effective and maybe that's not just offering training to those trusted sources. Sometimes the trusted sources are student workers.
Mm. I do kind of think the trusted sources training, like, could be something that could be used by everyone. I mean, you could customize it if you wanted to, because you're going to have your own campus resources that you might really want to share. But that there could be some real basics, like several modules could be the same, that are about how to support a student in crisis, or how to, some of these basic parts of the process. And here's our EKU resources that might be most helpful for your students, or here's, and then you could even as a part of the trusted sources training, maybe have a few testimonials put in there that could be helpful for both the staff, faculty, and student employees to hear, to listen to. I like that. And then that training could certainly be something that would be great for all student employees to go through as well. And that's a group that you really do have a lot of control over their orientation and their onboarding, and we can do this in a universal way and probably make a really big impact there. Easier than getting all faculty to do something, for example. Perhaps. One of the pieces of this that I kind of edited out just because it was a sub part of the web template would be actually offering like an ecosystem mapping experience or a facilitated ecosystem mapping for campuses, so that you would maybe bring together a team of your folks, and then you would participate in a facilitation of how do you ecosystem map your resources, and the process map of how do students access those resources. Is that and then those, how you, like the things that you uncover and determine are a part of your process and your ecosystem of resources would then be the material that you would use to populate the elements of your web page or your resource page or whatever. Is that a part of this that would be that would be a value to you as a campus? Or do you feel like, well, we actually have a really good ecosystem map and know of all the basic needs, concerns, like what all of our resources are, our community, our campus, state level, we feel good there?
Lily, when we went through it, we used a Google Doc and we blocked out the different types of basic needs. We invited different campus partners to fill in information. And so we kind of did the ecosystem mapping. It was pieced together, and we were inventing it as we went. I think having a template for campuses that are interested in doing that would probably be really helpful. Full disclosure, one of the main ones we used was the Southeast Community and Technical College Chit Chat. It's really well done. And so we started by thinking like that, and that helped us build ours out. But it was a big team effort. It was multiple areas all across campus that added into a Google Doc that was a big, messy Google Doc, and then we went through and tidied it up. But templates are nice.
Katie Adamczyk, you've been quiet. What thoughts do you have, Katie?
Sorry, I was helping my 11-year-old pack, meaning he kept coming in and saying, "How many pairs of shorts?" Well, one, I definitely think ecosystem mapping, and I was trying to think about how like U of L can wrap our hands around it in a collaborative way. So I like what Laura was saying, because we just do things in separate wings of campus. And then, I'm still very stuck on the language, right? So like at the state level, I think it would be really helpful, right? Like with how the cabinet did the connectors, right? That we like embrace like a shared language so that as our students move from KCTCS to four-year schools or between us, that they know, are we using basic needs? Are we using wellness? Are we like what? Because I'm that's a piece from the student side, the student voice that I'm still unclear about is like, if a student were to go on our website, like what are they even searching for? Because to me, it sounds like administrator language still. And I just don't even know. And it's probably not consistent. So then that's part of like, and I'm not a comm person, so let's just always acknowledge that. But like, to me, that's part of the campaign, right? Of like, then we push it out in the state of like, the institutions in the state of Kentucky have your well-being, your basic needs in mind, right? And then everybody's on the same shared language side.
I love that. Absolutely. So when we first thought we were going to do this, we were going to bring together kind of a comms team to advise on the project, but we were going to probably try to outsource with a communications firm to create the training, do the template, and help campuses with their ecosystem mapping. Oh, and the testimonials. And then we would give grants to the campuses for implementation, like if there was some support that you needed for implementation, but there really wouldn't be a heavy lift for the campuses. We've kind of shifted away from using a firm to do this work. And we're thinking, well, what if we put together a comms team or an SBN/comms team to do some of this work and gave bigger grants to our campus partners to compensate for that time and resources that would be needed to do it. And so interested in everyone's thoughts on what that could look like, if that would be of interest to anybody who might be interested in participating, and any other thoughts that y'all have on the approach to actually moving forward with this. Because I think we have the expertise here in Kentucky and even in this meeting room.
I had one comment, Lily. One thing we didn't exactly talk about, well, Demetria touched on it. We don't always have the resources that we need. And I think one thing that could come out of this is seeing what other campuses are doing and maybe how some schools are able to provide staffing and resources. This may also provide an opportunity for advocacy to say our schools don't have enough resources, especially when you see some of the statistics from the research that you presented. Some people may not be aware of how many of our students actually do struggle just for food and shelter. I've had students I teach a class in the sociology department, and I've had several students come to me and say, hey, I'm going to be here over winter break. I don't know what I'm going to do, or students that just don't know where to go if they have a family situation or they're not welcome back home. And, I think unless you're having that day to day with students, which most of the people on the call interact with students, you might not know. And so I'm hoping that one other thing that I get out of this is interaction with other people, but also to see what other people are doing and maybe what we're not doing or we don't have the funding to do, but to be able to say, we need it. So the template for me is not just a way to organize information. I work in comms and I love a template, but it's also a way to say, but look what other schools are doing. We're missing out on some things. And some of that comes down to resources. Sometimes you don't have the resources, but if collectively you all are helping us know about community and state level resources, then that maybe can help fill in the gaps.
Absolutely, April. Did you say you're with Morehead State? Or did I?
Yes.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thanks.
To the resources conversation too, like, yeah, I'm all about like, oh, let's do some outsourcing on this. I mean, because I've been in the conversation now with Laura and a few others, right, for the last year, and it's like, let's make progress. But we also have like a student marketing PR group agency that's sort of formed, the Cardinal Nest. And so then it's like, can CPE have a staff member who then works gets like a student team from each campus to intern and pull it together. And then it's like an amazing student experience. They have the student lens and they get really great experience. So
Katie, I love that so
great.
much. I really
That's
do.
so
Does everybody
great.
have like some kind of dynamite student marketing leader?
I mean, probably everybody has students that are interested in comm and marketing though, right? Like even like from, I don't know, but.
And one of the big mistakes that we make in higher ed, and I can say this, I'm sure I'm speaking for everybody, we aren't getting student feedback on some of these things before we launch. And so we don't even know when we launched the student wellness website, I have a student advisory board. I sent it to all of them for input. Because they'll openly complain about all of the resources websites. Like, I can't navigate this place and I don't know how to make an appointment here and I don't know. And they go on the website, they get overwhelmed, and it's like, I don't know, selecting somebody on Tinder, I guess, and they're just going to swipe and then not know what to do anymore. It's overload. It's just overload and it's too much. And that's why we went with the wellness website. And then they help with the language too. Oh, well, we never actually say that, we say this. Yeah. And of course, the language changes every few months based on TikTok. But having some students to do that, I think would be great. And providing them with an internship that's that's an additional bonus for them.
Okay, so then our like infrastructure model here at CPE would be to have a campus advisory group that is comprised of probably half comms professionals and half basic needs professionals that are going to meet in some, and then Ariane would supervise, but like meet in some kind of monthly fashion to check in on this and make sure that it's meeting the needs of our campuses. The students aren't going rogue. And then the students would be hired as CPE interns, and they would have job descriptions and projects and deliverables, and they would report basically to this guiding team, this advisory group, as well as Ariane as their probably direct supervisor. I mean,
Sorry, Ariane, I may have just given
we
you
would
a really.
we would get a lot of bang for this buck if we went that way. And the students could get a pretty big marketing budget as well to do things with on your campuses. Do you think they would have the skill sets to do the trusted source training, or would this just be a couple of components of the project, but not the whole project, like just the student testimonial piece? Like, what do you think would be the elements the students would be best suited for? And then what do you think we might separately want to outsource or do with a different approach with?
Coming from the community college standpoint, and this is just, and I'm not saying like this wouldn't work for us, but a lot of feedback that we've gotten when we're trying to encourage student groups like this or internships is the fact that the longest a student is with us is 2 years. So we only get them for such a short period of time anyway. So by the time we recruit them, get them trained, get them into a role, then they're gone. And then it's like, then we got to go through it all again. So just being mindful of that from the KCTCS student standpoint, and that doesn't even include some of the students that are just here for some quick certificates or just a shorter program. So that's some of the thoughts that I have. And again, not to say that there isn't an associate degree seeking student that would be phenomenal to sit on and do something like this, especially in a paid internship type standpoint. I think that would look really great. Just one of my kind of concerns or issues that we would have to work through.
And they could also be maybe a recent transfer.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So yeah, and so that's part of it too. So hopefully it would help with the longevity of the person.
That's what I was going to say. I could ask the College of Business. We could run majors in the College of Business because they would be the ones I think most interested in this, and look at who were flagged as transfer students from the KCTCS system, which used the word system twice. But anyway, yeah. I mean, I always have on my advisory board, I always have a transfer student on there because that part of the process can get, we lose that as administrators. But Lily, to your point, yeah, I don't know about the developing the training. It would take a very specific type of student personality to be able to do that.
And expertise that is more maybe at a counseling level, you know. Okay, so right now,
That could
what
be more of a graduate student internship, though, for higher ed,
Okay,
CSP, you know, all those people on college student personnel, student affairs, you know. No. But I agree. I think that the training and the trusted source pieces, probably bigger things that we'd want undergrads to bite off right now. And
So
that'd be a longer term too.
We like the undergrad for the student testimonial project and the ecosystem mapping with the web template to advise on the website.
And the language.
And the language, the common standardized language. Okay, those 3 things. And so then the trusted source training and a possible statewide toolkit would be separate. And is that something that we would want to look at outsourcing or in-housing?
I wouldn't. This might be the most Appalachian thing I say today. I don't know that I trust any outsiders with developing training like, for us.
Okay, let's do it. So,
And on
okay.
that, because there's that nice fancy budget you have though, right? Like, is it something that you can hire a fellow that is a side project, you know, so that
Yeah.
it's not an addition to what, you know, in our comm world, for instance, like, right, we're completely revamping every single website at U of L right now. So anything with collecting of ecosystem and site maps and everything is completely overwhelming on our campus. So, right, but I think that in terms of, you know, how we'd want to compensate people for their contribution would be important to
absolutely.
consider.
Absolutely.
What
Katie,
about
thank you.
funding for graduate assistants on the training? And I know there are multiple institutions that have MSW programs, and they always have to get the clinical hours. And now to get an MSW intern, you have to pay them, which should be paid internships, by the way. But I feel like some of them could probably pull together some good basic needs training just based on their academic programs. But I don't know how a GA position funded by the CPE would work, but certainly might be
Yeah, we
worth
bring on
asking.
graduate level interns. Sure.
I have to hop to another meeting. So I'm going to.
Here we go. Thank you, Erica.
Yep.
All right, friends. So we are at time. And so just to recap some next steps here, this was an amazing conversation. Thank you all so much. It sounds like we did think that the overall original scope of the grant proposal would add value. So the 4 elements of that, the trusted sources training, the ecosystem mapping with the template web page thing, what else were the student testimonials, and then the statewide toolkit. So those would be valuable pieces for our increasing access to basic needs supports for students. So we had the genius idea from Katie to create an undergraduate student marketing internship group that is going to help drive the student testimonials, the ecosystem web template piece, as well as what is the student-centered language around basic needs that we all want to be using. And then we'll need kind of a guiding team of comms and basic needs experts to kind of help support and advise this group. But at the same time, they're going to have the project and the deliverables. They'll be paid interns with CPE that Ariane will manage. Thank you, Ariane. And then separately, we will look at in-housing with our campus partners, maybe some senior fellow opportunities with comms and basic needs to work together on both the trusted sources training and the statewide toolkit. So maybe we pair up a comms senior fellow with an MSW graduate intern, and that dynamic duo does the content and the comms development for the trusted sources training and the statewide toolkit. Okay. So we've got 3 years or 2.5 left, $255,000 budget for that. So we'll map all that up and we'll put that back out to this wonderful group that has been a part of the brainstorming here. And feel free to share additional feedback over email, specifically with Ariane. You can add me in and Jamie in if you'd like. And then we'll just kind of keep you all in the loop as we move forward. If there is another person from your institution that you would like to loop in or delegate to, please feel free to pass this baton. But we appreciate all of you all being here for this kickoff conversation. Chris, you're welcome in every single one of our meetings. All right. Well, have a great rest of your day, everyone.
Thank you
Bye.
all. Thanks.